Alright, this last one we're going to tackle is going to be a little bit different for two reasons. One, I'm going to show you a different technique. And this only applies to certain types of problems. And then the other thing is I'm also going to show you something that's going to come up on certain problems that you just have to check for at the end. Alright, so let's talk about this different technique first. Now, originally our technique was to make the denominators match, which we could still do if you want to. But in certain situations like this one, this is very similar to something we've done in the past, which is this, the way it's written, is considered a proportion. Now remember, a proportion is anytime you have some ratio like A over B equaling another ratio like C over D. A fraction equaling another fraction. No plus 1 over here or something else to the side. It's just this part. And the minute you have a proportion like this, it means you can use a technique that we've used in the past, which is to cross multiply. So if you feel like this is easier, and again, only for these situations, you could cross multiply here. We could multiply in a crisscross pattern to simplify the equation as opposed to what we were doing before. So here, we crisscross multiply right here. H minus 2 times H minus 4 equals, and then go this direction, negative 2 times H squared minus 4. Now we don't have any rational expressions or fractions anymore. We can just start to simplify this problem. Now, a binomial times a binomial. H times H is H squared. H times negative 4 is negative 4H. Negative 2 times H is negative 2H. Negative 2 times negative 4 is 8. On this side, we just need to do a little distributive property. Negative 2H squared. Negative 2 times a minus 4 would be plus 8. Let's clean this up even further. We got some like terms here. H squared minus 6H plus 8 equals negative 2H squared plus 8. Now, the moment I see this, these H squareds, it means I can't solve by simplifying or just undoing it. I have to solve by factoring. So let's get this side equal to 0 by adding 2H to both sides and subtracting 8. I'm going to do two moves at once only because I'm running out of space here. These and these will cancel, and I'll get 0 on this side. Over here I'll get 3H squared minus 6H plus nothing. Alright, and then I see if I can factor this problem, and I see these have a common factor of 3H. So if I take that out, I'll get leftovers of H minus 2. I'm just basically doing distributive property backwards. And then I say to myself, and I'm just going to put the rest of this over here, in order for the whole thing to equal 0, either I'm multiplying and this 3H needs to become a 0, or I multiply these two things together and it's this H minus 2 that needs to be the 0, because it's the only way the whole thing is going to equal 0. So I solve this one. Divide by 3, H equals 0, or add 2, H equals 2. Alright, so that's one new thing, is that in certain situations where we've got a proportion set up, a ratio equaling another ratio and nothing else, we could do cross multiplying like we've done in the past. Now, here's the last thing you need to be careful about. This problem and all our other problems, we should be checking for something, because there's something in these types of problems called extraneous solutions. And what an extraneous solution is this idea that even though we didn't do anything wrong, even though all the math worked out, one of these, or maybe both of these answers cannot be used. And it's all about going back to check your work. I'm going to do this in red so we can see a little better. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in H equals 0, and I'm going to check my answer. Plug it in up here, and I think what I'll do here is this. We're running out of space. Let's just take a picture of what we've got over here, and I'm just going to move to another slide. Alright, there we go. So we'll paste it in right here. Okay, so now if I plug in H equals 0, I'll get negative 2, 0 minus 2 equals 0 minus 4. over 0 squared minus 4, which if I simplify it, this becomes negative 2 over negative 2 and negative 4 over negative 4, which is 1 over 1, or 1 equals 1. So that checks out. Now, this one, though, is an extraneous solution, and here's why. If I go ahead and check my answer and plug it in, I get negative 2, and then 2 minus 2 equals 2 minus 4 over 2 squared minus 4. This won't work out, and here's why. If I start simplifying it, I get this. Negative 2 over 2 minus 2 equals 0. Equals 2 minus 4, which is negative 2. 2 squared is 4, 4 minus 4 is 0. And even though they match up, what's wrong with this problem? Well, what's wrong is we're not allowed to have 0 as a denominator. We're not allowed to divide by 0. This is an impossibility in math. And so because you can't divide by 0, I can't use this answer. H plus 2 is what we call extraneous because it creates a denominator of 0. And so from time to time you have to check your answers, not only to see if you did it right, but to also check for these extraneous solutions. So if you were asked this question on a test or quiz and they asked you what are the answer or answers, you wouldn't write both. That'd be wrong. You would only write H equals 0 because the other solution that you thought you had turned out to be an extraneous solution and doesn't count. So you only use the one that actually mathematically worked out. Okay, so a few other things to think about. Practice this, work on your assignment to do these problems, and little by little we'll get all these little details like extraneous solutions or when to cross multiply or when you can't and things like that.